Frates is swinging the bat today with an awful lot of confidence.
And that is hit high and deep. Jowers going back. Jowers watches it out of here. That's a grand slam home run for Peter Frates. Wow. How about that, Dan?
Pete Frates changed the world. Pete Frates was a prep kid that always wanted to be the best he could be and always make others around him be the best they could be.
Frates, tremendous high school athlete, was an excellent football player, also played ice hockey, was the captain of his high school ice hockey team.
We knew he was a good ball player here locally, but we didn't think he was going to become the ball player that he was at the prep because of all the talent and skill. The prep happened to have coaches who would maybe canvass the local area and see some of the other players, but Pete was an unknown. He walked onto that campus, and by sheer determination, sheer work ethic, just his talent and skill, he became that guy who really broke through.
He made catches and made plays and throws like you've never seen before. He ran, he threw, he hit for power. Big-time players come up big in big games. Well, that was Pete Frates.
As gifted as he was, and he had some very gifted people in his class, he had to work hard at it. That's the thing that sets people apart, especially in a multi-sport athlete.
Run into by Peter Frates. Great tackle by Frates. Peter Frates came up from his corner position there, Larry, and read that well.
He always worked his butt off. If you were doing 10, he was doing 11. He had a baseline of gifts, but he was never exceptional, and he worked to get himself exceptional.
Pete, as a big brother, is everything you could hope for, and a role model and a hero throughout my entire life. You know, I tried to emulate everything he did. I played the same sports, I wore the same number. You know, Pete was big man on campus, he had the big truck, he had the stickers, you know, he had the pretty girlfriend and everything. He was the best big brother. He was very protective of me.
He was a mentor to all of the younger players, not just the talented players, but to all players. And he had the ability to carry people.
Peter always had time for others because it came from his heart, not from his head. He wasn't doing a checklist. It's who he was. Always reaching to those that might need a little bit extra. Peter was there.
He was pretty much a natural high school boy. The dean of students at that time, Mr. O'Neill, has asked me to sign a confidentiality agreement, and we're not going to share anything exactly about his non-angelic traits or actions. But Peter was very much like the boys that sit in desks at St. John's Prep today. When he was here, he reached out to others, he supported others.
He always valued team. Team was how he lived his life and how he continues to live his life today.
He just led by example. He wasn't a rah-rah guy, but if he needed to say something, he would say something. If he did say something, you knew it was important. You took note.
40 years coaching football, we always had special people who were really the leaders. And so every year there's one or two of those players that may or may not be captains who are your go-to guys. And he was the guy.
That morning of diagnosis, you know, we all went off in each individual car. Nancy and I, Pete, we were going to resume our life after being told that it was just a pinched nerve, but unfortunately, they gave us the worst news possible. And the way it went is this: the doctor just came in and started right here. It's not the common cold. We'd ruled out Lyme disease. We've ruled out things that were progressively worse and worse. And we're saying to ourselves, where is this guy going? And then when he says he has ALS, it was just a mind blower.
Your heart drops. You know, I'm a parent. You know, you just know what that means. You know, I'm old enough now that when people used to say cancer, it was like, oh, everybody's going to die. Now it's like a manageable disease. This is not that. You know it's not going to end well. It's the quality of life. Everything the worst thing that can happen to you happens here.
And then all of a sudden, everybody was here. And we were all sitting around the table, and I think we were all trying to digest the diagnosis, and everybody was pretty calm, but just trying to deal with it themselves. And Pete was very, very quiet. And then, do you remember how, like, in a second, he just kind of put his fork and knife down. He said, "We're gonna change the trajectory of this disease." And I remember literally sitting probably right exactly where I am and thinking to myself, is he saying this? Because I was still in complete trauma. And here he is setting the vision. He just said, we're gonna get to work. It's unacceptable. He kept saying the word unacceptable. It's unacceptable, no treatment, no cure, 2 to 5 years to live. He says, we're not gonna look backward, we're gonna look forward. I'm his mom, and it's devastating being a parent hearing this. But here is my 27-year-old teaching me a lesson right now, and what a lesson he taught us.
You naturally, when you're sitting with somebody and they're telling you about a diagnosis that is terminal ultimately, there's a part of you that wants to feel sorry for them. And when I remember meeting with Peter and John and walking out of that room and not feeling sorry, but feeling inspired, he very much knew that he was going to fight this, and he was going to fight this with everything that he had. And Pete was not going to go gently into that good night. He was going to find a way that if it wasn't just for him, to make it about other people as well. Did he know right then and there that he was going to go on to raise $220 million by challenging people to dump ice water on their head? No. But did he know right then and there that he was going to make a difference, and he was committing himself to that? Absolutely.
A week after the night of diagnosis, we sat in a medical room, and we sat with Pete's doctor, and he said, okay, doc, I know what I got, but what do you need from me? And she jokingly said, Pete, I need $1 billion.
It's the icy wake-up call flooding the country.
The brave ALS patients struggling with Lou Gehrig's disease across our country, their message and their fight tonight. And this evening, the movement. What happens when your colleague gives you a challenge all for a good cause? You're all in, and soon, all wet.
He felt the pain and the years of silence that nobody really talked about it, that nobody really understood what it was. He was very keen on making sure that people really understood what this disease meant.
To my left, we all know the Frates family. We're privileged to have Peter, class of '03, his beautiful daughter Lucy, lovely wife Julie, mom Nancy, dad John, and Andrew of the class of 2006, and dad is the class of 1976. God, through faith, empowered Pete, empowered his family to take this adversity, to turn it into something that influences other people for the good of others, which is a core value of what St. John's Prep is all about. We've made the decision to officially retire the number 3 in our football, hockey, and baseball programs, as well as name our baseball diamond the Peter Frates class of 2003 baseball diamond.
Sometimes you choose your pathway, and sometimes the pathway chooses you. This pathway chose Peter, and he took it on with just an amazing empowerment and leadership to share this good or misfortune, however you label it, with the worldwide community, not just his family, and we're grateful for that.
You get knocked down, you strike out. You have to get up. You have to dust yourself off. If you look at Pete Frates, you will see that he embodies that life lesson.
When when the diagnosis happened, he drew upon that work ethic. And still to this day, he might be down 100-0 in this ball game, but he still has one at bat, and that's the way we're looking at it.
We always want to hit fastballs, right? And it's not about hitting what you want to hit, it's about hitting what you're going to get. Pete has certainly gotten curveballs, change-ups, splitters, anything but fastballs. And Pete just continues to stay alive, right? Continue to grind it out, continue to work hard, continue to not allow himself to be beaten. That's why I'm not surprised that he's done what he's done.
Pete looked at me and said, you know, Doc, I've had a great run and really just enjoyed my life up until this point. And I've always kind of wondered what it was that God wanted me to do, how it was I was going to live out something more important. Now I know. And those words today seem so prophetic.
And he changed the world for the better, for not just ALS, but for all people. Because the Ice Bucket Challenge, if it is anything that you want to say it can be, but what it shows is just how good people are. He was one of you guys. He was one of the guys sitting in a chair listening to whatever distinguished alum was getting the award that year. And he listened, and he learned, and he grew. So seize opportunity and become the best you can be, because that's what Pete would want you to do.
My hope for all of us as we watch and listen and learn from the story of Pete and the Frates family is that we come to see that all of us, no matter who we are and what we do, have the potential to become the change we need to see in the world. Peter has given amazing hope to many people by fighting for what was right, by fighting for something more, and by focusing on that core value of servant leadership, of trying to influence any situation that we encounter for the benefit of others. You can see it in all that Pete has done and all that his family has done. Follow Pete's example. Embrace that call to be servant leaders and change the world. One day, one bucket, one challenge at a time.